Welcome to the People's Podcast. Frisbee touchdown. It's the time again. Couple of best friends hanging out.
We're live. Hello,
Leave
Colin.
meeting. You know that option where it's like recording. Oh, they're recording. I'm out of here. Can you imagine? That is so
Yeah.
funny.
I don't want to be recorded. Get me out of here.
This is pretty cool. This is our second podcast in like 4 days? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 6 days. Second podcast in 6 days.
Yeah, that's so cool.
2 in 1 week. 2 separate weeks within 7 days. Have we done it before? You asshole.
Yeah, we had some scheduling conflict last week. We had to get it in where we could, just like most things in life. And this week we were proactive, scheduled it early, and we'll have content out before the first game of the week. Go us.
High five. Hopefully before that other podcast too. Although who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he's hurriedly recording right now.
I just want to go ahead and say, nary a complaint. You know, it's early season and people are fiending for content when not a single person complained about the hour and 42 minutes of podcast that we came out with.
That is true. People are fiending. People are fiending for it. A lot of
Week 7, that's got to get down to 55 minutes, so the production team will look for alternative talent.
My goal is 60. Yeah. Which, speaking of which, just to keep a little timer on us, hopefully to try and keep us honest. So that's what I tried to do last week, and we know how that went.
Mm-hmm.
How's your weekend? Oh my God, I'll start. So let's see. Well, last time we spoke, I was rushing out of our hour and a 35-minute long podcast, whatever we did, to go to the Padres Dodgers game. We get there. It's very wet. We actually talked about it on that podcast, like if it's going to get canceled or not. It still was like raining a little bit, misting. Everywhere is slick. We get into our seats. I think we might have missed the top of the first, Dodgers batting, but I don't think they scored anything. It's very slick, like I just said. I was wearing Hupanas that I got back when Adam was working at Decker's, like discounted ones, but this was like 6 years ago or whatever. So at the bottom of the shoe is just completely worn. They're just slick. And so I literally am taking like the tiniest steps in these shoes because I'm very liable to eat shit within these shoes. In any case, we get up to our seats. This is after like getting some drinks and like we're settled and everything is good. And then I do like the standard like check the pockets for everything, like is everything where it should be, and no keys. Can't find the keys. And I'm looking at all my pockets, taking them out. And I actually had like a hoodie underneath my jersey, and so I'm like looking in like the hoodie pocket underneath my jersey, like somehow I would have put the keys in there. In any case, they're gone. The keys were gone. I figured that I probably left them in the little bowl. You know, when you go through security, you like put like your phone, keys, wallet, and then slide it over. And we were trying to rush to our seats because of our, tight time window. The keys were gone. And so at that point, I realized I tell Chelsea, all right, I'm going to go back to security, ask about the keys. So I go all the way back there, which of course is like on the other side of the stadium, like half the stadium away, no matter which way that I was going to walk it. Get there. They don't have them. The security guy's like, you got to go to guest services on this gate, which is of course another like quarter stadium away from where I just went. And again, the entire time I'm taking like baby steps because it's very slick. And I'm in these Hupanas. I'm not even kidding. Like it was like sketchy how like quickly I was trying to move to like A, reclaim these keys, and B, now I'm like missing the Padres batting in the bottom of the first. Wow, I'm like, how could I have done this? So I skid my way to guest services. They got nothing. Security's got nothing. Guest services got nothing. They're just like, come back later. So I go back up to the seat, tail between my legs. So I might have like picked up another beer along the way. And then watch the game up until like the end of the 6th or 7th or something, because Chelsea had her triathlon the next morning, very early start time. So we watched 16 of the games, back to guest services, tiptoeing over there. They got nothing. Then we go back to security, where we came in just to ask again, and the guy gave us the same spiel, like, oh, we don't have anything, you gotta go to guest services. As I'm saying this, I was sent a gentle reminder. So we got to the ball game and it was delayed like 40 minutes because of the rain. And so we had like an impromptu dance party at the park at the park, little kids field. And it's funny because Friday night home games are like a beer fest every Friday. They do, I think that's what happened when we were there, where they have like the Friar funds where you go and you get this fake money, but then you turn it into discounted beer somehow. So that's every Friday. Somehow it's always a Dodger game. So people get rowdy and aggressive. But because of the rain delay, we were able to not be late and then dance in this park. And we actually pseudo made friends with the family of Dodger fans next to us because we were swapping, taking pictures of each other's group. Of course I made a joke I'm gonna tax you that one beer. So funny because I already feel like I've derailed this podcast, but anyway, so
this is actually a Padres podcast now.
I'm eventually get to where Chelsea is next to this family. It's four of them. Dad's nowhere to be seen. The mom is like, hey, can you take us a picture? And the daughter's like, we gotta wait for dad. Dad saunters up. He's double fisting these beers. And so, yeah, he gets ready for the picture and then we finish taking it and we hand the phone back and go up to the dad. And I'm like, it's going to cost you one of those beers, the picture tax. And he gives me the, the dad laugh and we bond over that. And in any case, long story short, the keys were gone forever. So I had to hop the gate, the side gate. So not the stable metal one that we have on the left or the right hand side we come in our house, but the fence that should have been replaced 20 years ago that's only on by its hinges, barely. Hop over this fence praying that one of the side doors was left unlocked, and it was. So crisis was averted. We were able to get in, but stressful. And that was just Friday night, and so I'll be quick through the rest of the days. Saturday morning we get up at 5 a.m. to get Chelsea to do a triathlon at 6. It was a huge mess of people. She puts her bike in these racks, so there's hundreds of people around. They do it in waves of all age groups and different races and whatnot. So she was group 9, so she didn't start till 7:25, and then she started, and then I'm just there by myself, snacking on all the athletes food and snagging some coffee and chugging water bottles, but basically just waiting for her to finish all these segments. So she was ran a little bit, bike a ton. I film her when she passes me and then hustle over to another port, film that, and then she's gone for another 45 minutes and stuff like that. Just hanging out. But it was fine though. I was just sipping on coffee, and it was at a cool place in San Diego. So it wasn't there's nothing to see, and I was walking around, keep myself occupied.
Then little mini adventures throughout this, your moment of woo, yeah, get it, go Chelsea,
yeah, exactly.
Water. Here's your trail mix bar. And
it was just filming
back on the
phone. So that finishes. She crushes it. She gets 4th in her age group for her first time doing anything like that. So super amazing. The swim was canceled because of the pollutants in the water because of the tropical storm, quote unquote. But still, 4th in her age group, super proud moment for me. Then we drove to a music festival so I could drop her off there, which was near Norco, 45 minutes away, which was club sectionals. I show up after the first 2 pool play games are done for street gang. I just kind of show up and everyone's giving me shit. And I'm I've been here the whole time. But they actually won 15-7 in both those games. So it didn't really matter. Then we played the rest of the tournament. We ended up getting 3rd, which was below our seed. We got blown out in the last game because people just were dead. It was super hot. It was our 7th game, and we're all just tired and over with it. Yeah. And then Sunday we drove back.
Wild. Did you get to watch any football?
I think I saw maybe the very end of the Sunday night game. Who was playing the Sunday night game? Was that the Cowboys and the Buccaneers? I think it was. Yeah.
It was.
I think I popped in when like right when Dak got injured, and then I just saw like the end of that game.
Yeah. All of America got to witness the end of Adam's fantasy football season.
Carson Wentz has a favorable matchup this week, so
Yeah.
we shall
But
see.
we'll get into that later.
How's your weekend?
My weekend was lovely. The heat wave finally passed in Santa Barbara, so it was possible to do anything at all and not hate your life. For those of us that are really spoiled, the heat wave's over, but I still got the AC blasting on me because I'm just that way.
It's hard to get out of the habit. Also, I'm gonna interrupt you. Cheers.
Hey, cheers, buckaroo.
I want to give a shout out to whoever got this Elysian mix pack for the draft, because one of the beers that was left over that I grabbed for disc golf on Monday was this Night Owl, which is a pumpkin ale, and I enjoyed it so much I went and got a 6-pack today, so I'd recommend it. Night Owl pumpkin ale,
Pumpkin spiced ale, you say?
it's good. But anyway, please continue.
A lot of people would tweet strong words about your manhood for drinking that pumpkin ale.
I told you before the pod, we just went to a late lunch where the dude like recognized us and gave me a discount on beer. I asked him if they had any pumpkin flavored beers. And I was like, do you guys have any pumpkin flavored stuff? I don't know if it's okay to ask that. And he was like, it's not okay. And then I was like, okay, I'll just take the Cali Cream.
Man, you really tested the limits there. Like, hey, you like finally get recognized by somebody, getting a discount,
pumpkin flavored shit.
Just immediately trying to ruin your hookup.
He was like, we're not Starbucks. And I fumbled through my explanation I just gave you. Well, I just had this beer from Elysian. It's not called Night Owl. It's a pumpkin ale. It's pretty good.
I'm sorry. Just like stew after pouring water in Curtis's cup. Backing up.
Like that boy. I mean, Padres. So anyway,
I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Yeah. So let's see. Friday night was pretty fun. We finished a work week. Ashley wanted to go check out the sunset, so we mobbed over to Hendry's Beach.
Money.
Did a nice long walk. We've been searching credit cards because we don't have a solid travel credit card. And
Chase Sapphire, I'll recommend you. Give me some miles. We
actually leapfrogged Chase Sapphire to the Capital One Venture X. It's $500 or $400 annually, and we're gonna split that cost. But we just felt like the perks were a little bit grander, and yeah. So, anyways, we had a long discussion about Chase Sapphire or Venture X. And like what our priorities were and how we're going to spend that. While we're going down this walk, we actually ran into a dolphin carcass, and it was pretty wild. Like a lot of its insides were missing. It was not smelly, which was very shocking because normally naturally dead dolphin carcasses are extremely smelly. I learned this from Ashley. You can smell it for like a mile up and down the beach. So that was odd, but really cool thing was the teeth on this guy. It looked like a zipper. I'll send pics to the group me after this, but
nice dolphin carcass in the group me. It's good content.
Yes, good content. Well, so this like kind of pertains to the unhealthy water situation. So there's currently an algal bloom happening in the channel, which this algae produces some like neurotoxin called domoic acid, and not only is it fucking with dolphins, but it basically this domoic acid gets somehow consumed by all the fish and squid in the channel, and so all of the predators then eat the fish and then they get fucked up. And so we saw this dolphin, it was dead, and then Saturday we did a beach walk again, and we found a seal that was just like raving on the beach and just bobbing and weaving, and had like just like what looked like, a normal person, me, thought it was rabies or something, right? Just foaming at the mouth and just raving, just back and forth uncontrollably. And I learned that this is part of the domoic acid situation. And basically it causes them to go brain dead and suffer seizures and stuff. And so like, there's just this influx of fucked up like mammals in the channel right now. So like anytime you go on a beach walk, you're gonna see, you're almost guaranteed to see some like messed up animal. And it's really gnarly too, because it made me feel like ill, like watching this thing, like it was a zombie seal just bobbing back and forth. But Ashley was just like, she just hopped into action. She's like calling animal rescue. She's like starting to coordinate with people walking by, like, be careful, there's this animal right here, if you can, try to call this number, hopefully one of us can get through. And it was very interesting, because fun fact about her, and I know she doesn't like talking about her, but she used to work in animal rescue on the beach. And that's like, if we ever get rich, that's something that we would do with our money, is fund like animal rescue.
Zombie seals.
Zombie seals, truly, yeah.
Is the rise in the algae due to climate change?
I don't know, not my lane, but the little bit of reading that I did see is just that certain circumstances of weather and currents cause it. And so it's possible that climate change is making these circumstances happen more often or longer or what have you. But
I asked because there's a similar, or maybe not similar, but a tangential phenomenon happening in Lake Merritt over up in Adams neck of the woods, where there is like poisonous algae or something that is taking all of the oxygen out of the water in the lake. And so all of the fish, they're dying in like tens of thousands. And so there's just like dead fish everywhere on like the shores and in the lake. And it's more smelly than usual. And I was actually talking to Adam a little bit about that over draft weekends. Like, I just read this article, and he's like, yeah, man.
I remember that. That was a funny conversation. That was one of those early morning conversations. I came in halfway through. You guys were drinking coffee on the patio in Malibu. It was fun. I loved those conversations. So yeah, Friday night was dope. Saw a great sunset. We probably walked 5 miles up and down the beach. No tar, so that was cool. Then Saturday, we wake up. We're like, that was nice. Let's do it again. So we went, and there was a storm between Friday and Saturday night. So then Ashley was just like, yo, cool stuff washes up after storms. Like sometimes you can find shark eggs, like, those giant, I don't even know what they're called, the kelp strands that are normally like anchored in the floor get ripped up during storms. And so like, we're going down this Hendry's Beach again, and she's like diving into these kelp things. And I'm just like our beach experiences are so different, her and mine, I'm like, it's smelly, like it's gross, there's flies. And she's like in there, like, are there shark eggs, like, are there crabs? So yeah, that was kind of cool. And unfortunately, the dolphin carcass got like mangled. So super stoked that we saw it Friday night before it got like wrecked by the storm. Then we popped over to East Beach and went to Nate Emery's surprise birthday party barbecue, which is super funny. Yeah, I was supposed to start at 2. Naturally, Kirch was responsible for getting Nate to his own surprise barbecue.
3:30.
So they showed up at 3:30.
Yes.
Totally fucked. Yeah, so I'm hanging out with like Nate's girlfriend and Nate's girlfriend's friends, and it's me and Ashley, and like then one person that Ashley knows. Thank goodness, because it was just like so awkward hanging out for an hour and a half with people that
you guys
like,
see that dolphin
know.
carcass? Yeah, gnarly, huh? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and like they're stressing out, like cooking, and like they don't know who all's showing up, and it's like supposed to rain at any minute. So yeah, it was funny. But Ashley's friend that happened to be there, knew about this dolphin carcass at Hendry's, and shockingly knew the people. They actually had done like what's it called when a body dies and or somebody dies and there's like
Rigor mortis.
Rigor mortis. No, like when somebody like investigates the cause of death, right? In the mortuary.
Autopsy.
Yes. So there's the animal version of that. This woman at the surprise party knew the team that did that for this dolphin. So that's why it didn't smell, because they had treated it, and it was just like,
Oh, they treated it and left it?
Yeah, so they had left it out of the surf break, but because of the storm, the current like dragged it in. So they had left it like out there, and it somehow found its way to Hendry's Beach. So pretty weird. Normally that doesn't happen. Wild. And then yeah, flash forward. Oh no, Saturday night was super fun. We went to the pier and got clam chowder bowls and just watched the sunset again.
Nice.
And had clam chowder at the pier, and that was lovely. And oyster shooters, just because why not? Flash forward Sunday, football Sunday. I told Ashley, like, whatever you want to do on Saturday, I'm in, because Sunday I refuse. Sunday is the Lord Trey Lance's day.
And perform he did not.
And perform he did not. But that was a monsoon. That was insane. Yeah, big day of football. We've been watching House of Dragon with a couple that are good friends with Ashley, and now I'm good friends with. And
nice.
That's where we learned how to barbecue pizza. So that was fun. Did it again on Sunday. Got roasted. I want Stu to barbecue pizza. I was so
it was a little misshapen. It was a little
yeah. So context, not that anybody truly cares about this, but if you barbecue pizza, there's a reason that they use those sliders to like put pizza in, right? So I was like transferring it from my plate. No, so I picked it up because I'm not gonna lay it on the barbecue like this, right? Like burn my hands. So I picked it up and I was going quickly and setting it on the barbecue, but the front edge of the pizza went in between the grates.
Oh, the classic.
And I was like,
oh
fuck.
My God. Yeah.
So I'm holding the pizza with one hand while I'm trying to like, gently get it out of the grates. And so that's why you see there's like the handle on one side of the pizza, and then the other side's all like ripped because it like cooked almost immediately. Yeah. So that was brutal, like sharing. And also at this point, I'm like multiple shots deep, at least 5 Bud Lights in.
This is your standard operating level, though. So kind of use that as an excuse.
The Weaver BAC level.
Yeah.
On a Sunday. That's a fair point. Yeah. So went over to watch House of Dragons, and our theme with this couple has just been like cooking cool shit. And so last week we led the charge on barbecued pizza. This week they did barbecued nachos, carnitas nachos, and that was fire. House of Dragons has been epic. This episode was a very different like theme than the others, more to the like dramatic and like politicking and H
very
than just like blood, guts, gore, and dragons. So cool. I think it was needed, just building the drama. But yeah, it's been fucking over 15 minutes of our life. That's not what people are tuning in for.
That's all right. We're actually ahead of schedule from last week. I also have greatly enjoyed The House of the Dragon is what it's called. And it's not House of the Dragon or House of Dragon, it's The House of the Dragon. In any case, if you're not with it, you need to watch it because it's good. It's worth it.
If you're not with it, you're against it, and you can burn in Westeros.
Just like Stu said too, it's like we're a month in, you're gonna get spoiled, right? So we can only hold these spoilers for so long.
Oh yeah, good point.
But yeah, we can dive into the good stuff. So I have another atonement that I owe because akin to the last podcast we did, the Dodgers took 2 of 3 from the Padres. However, I'm going to postpone that till next podcast because I'm already like 48 ounces of beer in and I have to drive to practice later to coach. So I'm going to try and monitor my alcohol intake between now and when I have to go coach these young lads in like 2 hours. So
You need to Uber to coach.
I'll be okay. I got a liter of water here that I'll be sapping after this night. Hoo. So I call it night owl. Hoo.
I'll give you that dad joke.
But yeah, okay. So this is your segment. Why don't you lead us off with it?
Yes. So fun storylines follow throughout the season. The best stack in the league. Off to an early start. Josh Allen and Diggs had a combined 55 points. We have a tie for second. The Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, and Kyler Murray, Marquise Brown stack are both at 33 points. Then we have Russell and Sutton at 28. And then unfortunately, Dak and CD is the worst stack in the league. They scored 8 points. I feel bad every time we have to mention that. Injuries are the worst.
Dude, I actually learned something. Or maybe this is just me being behind the curve, but we've talked about stacks before, right? Excuse me. And I've always been like, points are scored no matter what, stack or no stack, it's the same. What I never realized is this like Adam situation where if you like go by a stack and then an injury occurs, you get fucked, right? So it's like live by the stack, die by the stack. Where I before I was just thinking like it's live by the stack is the same as no stack, but there's a third option, which is die by the stack, which I didn't recognize until this whole situation happened.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something that you realize.
I don't think there's a third option. I think it's live by the stack or die by the stack, right? You're betting. It really has become popular with daily fantasy, right? You're betting that your stack is going to hit and that they're just going to blow up together.
Yeah.
But it's like, you can look at it from that perspective. I think the solid counter argument is just scoring opportunities with a team, right? Like, let's say we can use Stafford and Kupp, or anybody that's going against the Bills defense, right? Scoring is going to be very hard against the Bills defense. So if your stack is going against them, you have now 2 positions dedicated to that one game, versus like any stack that you have going against the Chargers or fucking Chiefs, right? You know it's going to be a shootout. So you're like, you're just fiending, right? So I don't know. It's weird, but I think you can only live and die by the stack. There's no like in between.
So seeing these numbers, how do you feel about Russell and Sutton?
I'm feeling a little bit of regret not having selected one of the top quarterbacks. I'm just going to look at the draft results real quick because I think that I opted to choose Darnell Mooney. And then the next round is when, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson were chosen. And so seeing Darnell Mooney do terribly, granted it's a monsoon, I think that, I don't regret having Wilson and Sutton as my stack. I do regret picking Mooney over
Any of those
Hurts,
quarterbacks.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
They all blew up and he did not. So that's scary. But I'm still pretty juiced to have Russell Wilson, considering some of the other options that flopped afterwards, right? Trey Lance was Garbo, Dak got hurt. Aaron Rodgers, garbage. Tom Brady, garbage. Derek Carr, garbage. So truly, like, he was the best pick for me, and I feel okay. I'm still, I'm in 4th out of 5, so it's not the worst, not the best.
You're 4th out of 5 because of injury and potentially a good defense, but
Yeah.
also not far behind the 33 points that Stafford, Kupp, and Marquise Brown and Kyler share.
Yeah. And I think it's important to also recognize, like, Allen and Diggs hit this week, right? That's what you're going for with a stack. That's your dream, to come out of Thursday Night Football with 55 points. You'd love to see that.
55.
Yeah. That's not going to happen week in and week out. Well, let's hope.
Hopefully not this week. Am I right? Someone's playing O'Malley this week. Let's not happen.
The league hopes that doesn't happen. What about this next segment, huh?
Yeah, so there's this next point. I sent you this image that I found on the old Twitter sphere, and I thought it was interesting because it's top 5 running backs by rush yards. Obviously, it's been 1 week, but I just kind of wanted to see how these guys performed in week 1 relative to their draft stock, right? So first place is Saquon, 164. He's leading the league in rushing yards right now. And he was, what is this? I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 10th running back selected. Jonathan Taylor, who was the first player off the board, is second, 161. So you kind of get what you thought you would there. Swift, third, 144. And he was taken 10th. Did I say 10th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Swift with the 9th running back taken. Chubster, my guy, who was the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15th running back, is now 4th in the league in rushing, again, after 1 week. And then Fournette, your boy, who was the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th running back. So I think that was what in the top 5, we had the 10th, the 11th, the 13th. We had 9, 10, 11. In any case, I thought it was interesting to look at these stats and who's after 1 week, admittedly, but still, a lot of these guys are drafted in the back half of the first round or in the second round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty cool. And I think it's important, with this in mind, right? Obviously, rushing is great, but elite running backs are elite also because of their receiving prowess, right? So while Chubb is on the top 5 rushing board, Kareem Hunt beat him last week in fantasy points overall, right? Because he scored 2 touchdowns and did a lot of receiving work. So incomplete picture, but I love where your head's at, right? Rushing is a major part of the running back game.
You just give me a backhanded compliment, a left-handed compliment. Is that what this is called?
You're damn right. This is gonna be a fun storyline to
All right.
keep an eye on.
Next, so we promised that we would go through our listener questions this week because we ran out of time last week.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you start with that first question we have there? Which actually, this is a pretty deep one.
Oh, team names. Like them, hate them.
No, skip that one. Next segment. Yep.
All right. Yeah, might be. Okay. Was the waiver wire super weak week 1? First question. And then the second one is, does Bacon know something we don't? I pose this thought/question to the league. What happens?
A thought question.
If Jameis Winston gets hurt and Taysom becomes a full-time quarterback week 2? That would be the single best investment of fab that one could purchase, right? Being able to put Taysom Hill, getting quarterback numbers out of your tight end position. Who would not spend $65 if that were to happen, right? So one, I think it's an unfortunate bid because nobody else bid on Taysom Hill. So in that regard, it's a total waste of money. However, if that situation were to happen, you could be seeing some Travis Kelce type numbers for this $65 bid, which I think is totally worth it.
Taysom Hill has played in 66 games in his career. He has started 27 of them. He has thrown 2,025 yards. So what is that? 2025 divided by 27, which equates to 75 yards per start thrown, 75 throwing yards per start. And that doesn't include any of the other games that he appeared in that didn't start. He has 8 touchdowns, although I'm unsure if this is passing touchdowns or total touchdowns because of his gadget ability. Yeah, that is an interesting thought experiment. Like if he has a quarterback in the tight end slot, I kind of feel like he wouldn't be the quarterback. I feel like if that were to happen, someone else would like start because he's like not a throwing quarterback. Like what I've been reading up on him this week is that when he's in the game, teams know they're not going to throw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and somehow he still keeps finding the end zone.
He had a good game. 14 points. What was it, like 80, 85 rushing yards and a touchdown or something like that? Like that's undeniable production. And if you can guarantee something like that or more every week, obviously that's a good investment. And honestly, when I was thinking about this, I remember last year when we were giving you shit for investing in Elijah Mitchell, although it's a different circumstance, but that ended up working out for you. So obviously right now it's all conjecture until we see what actually happens for Bacon. But it also is probably telling that not a single other person wagered a single dollar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You hate to love to see Bacon blew his load on an uncontested bid. Speaking of which, there were 10 players or defenses that were bid on. Only 2 of them were contested. And so I think that is a sign of a weak waiver wire week. That's
weak waiver wire week.
Yeah.
So I would counter while I do agree with your assessment. Although I think there's a few, but the ones that were contested for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But like personally, my strategy is if I want someone, I'm gonna like throw $1 or $2 at them, right? It's like, why would I risk not getting someone by being stingy? So while you're saying there were however many uncontested wagers, if it's like $1 or $2, that probably shouldn't count in the same breath as Curtis Samuel or Dontrell Hilliard.
Okay. So there were 7 players bid for, only 2 of them were contested. How's that?
Well, I mean, if it's under $5, then you can't really count it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
I think Curtis Samuel is a super fun week 1 waiver wire target because I don't think anybody projected his usage, despite I guess being a favorite of the Commanders, right? Like he was such a focal point last year, but just was injured the whole time. I truly think that they're trying to use him in like the Deebo Samuel way of like getting him manufacturing touches even as a running back at times. So
I mean, he had a lot of hype coming from the Panthers to the Commanders, right? Like he had a great season and then he left in free agency and then got injured and has become an afterthought. And maybe this is a reminder of like, oh, this guy actually is talented.
Yeah.
Right. And like I was telling you pre-pod, I was texting with Stu a little bit today and he was lamenting the fact that he lowered his bid and lost because he would have won it had he kept his original bid. Obviously, Stu is a little biased because watching him play on the Panthers for however many years. But yeah, we'll see. Now, in conjunction with Taysom Hill, Bacon spent $80 of his $100 in 1 week. So he might have to be a little tight-fisted going forward. Oh, he will have to be tight-fisted, not might. There's no might in that.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting to see, like, does Curtis Samuel break Bacon's starting roster this week even, right? Like, he went out and won them. Also, fun fact, week 0 waiver wire, I beat Bacon on a waiver wire tiebreaker by waiver priority. And then Curtis Samuel, me and him and somebody else, Evan, we all bid $15, and Bacon had the highest waiver priority, but I would have had the second priority. So a little bit of karma coming back to me. Tags me back, Bacon, as you always do.
Would you rather have Curtis Samuel or that W?
The W.
Well,
For
then
sure.
there you go.
Needed it.
Everyone is needed. Yeah, dude. That
I needed it.
Want to know, baby? Want to know, club? Let's
Oh.
go. Any other? How do you feel about Dontrell Hilliard?
Dontrell Hilliard.
Cuckfest 2022 winning him by $8 margin.
I was surprised to see Hilliard get purchased for $15. That feels terrible to say. But I'm also like, this is another, like, if I'm Adam, I'm borderline freaking out to see the backup running back, the pass catching running back, scored 20 points week 1 when I have Derrick Henry, and I'm a little shook, to be honest. I think that this is paying a lot of money for just like a random broken play scoring situation, but who knows? Maybe the end of the reign of King Henry is upon us. We'll see.
Yeah, that was one of the predictions that did not come to fruition. Henry gouging the Giants, although he did have 21 rushes for 82 yards. So like 21 is a lot of attempts, right? He just didn't get that touchdown. So bummer for Adam, but I mean, that's got to be like Henry's absolute floor.
Yeah, 100%. He'll be back. Don't worry. I still believe in the King, and I still want him. Adam, if you don't want him anymore, let's talk trades.
How desperate is Adam after a week 1? Will you trade your first round pick?
Well, it sounds way worse when you say it like that.
Next question. Same listener. Can you give a rundown of key injuries and how it may affect that fantasy team? How does Keenan Allen affect your fantasy team?
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. My 3rd round pick, I think Keenan is awesome, and he was on his way to an awesome fantasy day, and now he's out, and it's a hamstring injury, which can linger. So that's even more annoying.
That's a lingerer.
I committed a lot of resources to wide receivers, so I should feel fine, but I don't, because Mooney played in a monsoon, and so I hate my life. But then I hedged the running back situation in San Francisco, and I have Jeff Wilson Jr., so hopefully he scores 5 touchdowns this week, because I think he did that one time. I think he scored like 3 or 4 touchdowns in one game with like 25 rushing yards. It was ridiculous. But I think I'll be okay. It doesn't sound like it's that bad of a hamstring injury. So, hope it was a position of strength for me, thankfully.
I heard a quote from Keenan after last game. It was someone asked him, like, what do you think about, playing against the Chiefs next week? And he's like, oh, there's definitely a possibility. And the reporter's like, your game's on Thursday night. And then he said, it's a small possibility.
Yeah.
But with that, you get the extra, it's going to be like 10 days before his next game, right? So I bet he'll be out there week 3.
It's a hamstring injury. You just never know with this kind of stuff. And he's getting older. He's at risk.
He is getting older.
We'll see. This is one of my draft weekend will haunt me all season picks of Keenan Allen versus DJ Moore.
DJ Moore had a down game as well.
Keenan Allen currently has the lead. We'll see if he maintains that lead through 2 weeks. But yeah.
Next players. So for O'Malley, we have Najee Harris, and Chris Godwin.
Yeah,
Reactions.
The Najee Harris injury looked gnarly. I don't know if you got to see the replay, but he got rolled up on. His ankle was like, it's one of those classic, like your foot is bent out and somebody's rolled up on your knees, and it just looks terrible, right? But by all accounts, he's like already practicing again in a limited fashion. So seems like it's going to be not that big of an issue. And he picked up his backup. So if Najee is like a game day out, he'll be fine there. The Godwin injury is pretty annoying if we're being honest, to like come into the season still recovering from the ACL injury only to pull your hamstring straight away. I haven't like seen anything. Did not practice. Ooh. So that sucks. It's going to be he's not playing.
Does O'Malley change his team name?
Ooh. Does a Godwin, pull a hamstring? The answer is yes. What's akin to a Godwin?
He does not have Najee's backup. Cuckfest picked him up uncontestedly for 11
uncontested
smackers, I may add. But yeah, so O'Malley's banking on him playing. All reports seem to say he's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Next injury, we got Dak. He's out for at least a month. Jerry Jones has limitless optimism that he'll be back perfectly fine. I heard on a podcast that Dak avoided getting a pin in his thumb of his throwing hand. So because of that, the recovery should be quicker. So that's positive. Although in the same breath, the podcaster mentioned that 4 weeks is pretty quick. And that's also putting like a mental strain on Dak himself to now feel like he's got to rush back. So we'll see. But like I said at the top of the pod, Wentz has got a good matchup against the Detroit Lions secondary. So I think he'll be fine for this week.
Yeah, dude's got a cannon. You know he's going to sling it. Interesting that Adam had also drafted Trey Lawrence and yet chose not to play him.
Yeah. Seems like the long con for him, which after putting up 13 points, 1 touchdown, 1 interception against those same Commanders, and then going up against the Indianapolis defense, who's pretty good, I probably made the same move, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Next player, because we're getting up on 15 minutes here. Kamara, 5-0. It's 46. Although I started late. In any case, Kamara for the Jewish star. What do you make of it? That and his matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaroos.
I think that Kamara is going to be fine. I think the bigger issue is that he's going up against Tampa Bay's defense. I called this last week with Zeke. I wasn't scared of Zeke because they were going against the Bucs, and Zeke plotted to like 6 points. So I think that's the bigger issue. Unless they figure out a way to get creative and get Kamara some receptions in space, I don't think that Kamara's injury is a big deal. I think the matchup is a bigger deal.
So Kamara against the Falcons had 9 rush attempts for 39 yards. Although he may have or may not have been was hampered. So we'll see what happens, but it's a stingier defense. And now he's like confirmed a little banged up.
Yeah.
Brad's got 2 people.
89-31 by Taysom Hill. It should be running back tight end for Taysom Hill.
Instead of QB. Yeah, that would be more fair. Although maybe it doesn't matter because they can still line him up as a QB. I don't know what to do with him. Not spend $65. That's what I know what to do. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Brad had Butker barely knew her, who now has been downgraded to out and since kicked to the curb by Brad at the time of this podcast for new kicker, as well as Mitchell, who is now on the IR. You are the directed beneficiary of that, as well as Brad's opponent this week. So why don't you take this one away with your pouty face?
I'm overall very sad about the Elijah Mitchell injury for my Niners, first and foremost. Very interesting. Draft day. Probably heard me talk about this already, but coming around the turn, it was Brad's selection. I was going Mitchell or Russell Wilson. And Brad chose Mitchell, so then I chose Russell Wilson. So like there's layers to this. It's super fun. You all get to hear you all will by the end of the season, you will know everything about my drafts. So that's gonna be fun.
You're gonna be like 5-11. You're gonna be like, and now you guys will know everything about my draft.
Yes.
So who would your quarterback be if you hadn't have taken Russell?
I would have been effed. Probably Trey Lance, but no, it's not even worth
the multiverse.
Postulating.
The multiverse.
Yeah, the multiverse. Yeah, it's not even worth it because of like all the picks that happen in real time. Mitchell sucks for Sones because I think he was a candidate for like top 5 finish. And now whoever has Debo, I think it might be Evan, is a benefactor of this injury more so than me with Wilson, because once that injury happened, then Debo hopped back into his wide back role. So that's a bummer. And then luckily Brad had Melvin Gordon just waiting in the shadows. Unluckily for him, talking about scoring opportunities, he also has Jerry Jeudy. So now, he has 2 players that are sharing the same red zone looks potentially. And that's
something
ignoring.
I also noticed is he has Knox and Davis of Buffalo as well.
Yeah.
So Brad double dipping in a variety of places.
Just like his beer tasting.
Freaking he has a stack as well. Sorry to interrupt you, but this is a stack that maybe merits inclusion in the card to Adams. You
know what? This is an atonement because that is a very worthwhile stack.
Should we do some podcast math?
I'm gonna do do the math real quick, and I'm gonna go get a shot.
Okay, then fine. I guess I'll do my atonement too for doing that, but I'll stay here and do the math, and then we'll kind of do a switcheroo. Okay. So let's see. Derek Carr, week 1, did a pedestrian 13.8 points. You love to see it. Do you love to see it? So that was his total. However, Adams ate like a champ. 10 receptions on 17 targets, 141 yards, and a tutty, 25.1 points, which puts them at second place on our stack.
Damn.
Which is funny because they were disincluded.
Yeah. So I'm gonna drink a little Screwball because I screwed that one up.
Nice. Also, that's a pleasant beverage you got there.
It is a pleasant beverage. For those of you that don't know, Screwball is a peanut butter flavored whiskey.
Or wait for me while I get
similar. Yeah, it's similar to Fireball, but instead of cinnamon and like hating your life, it's peanut butter and it's quite tasty. Yeah, so I'm really sorry, Cuckfest, for disincluding your stack, because it's a good stack. And I'm taking a little otter shot. Turns out the otter shot glass is huge. Let's go. All right. Who else are we talking about right now? Mitchell and Butker. Oh, Butker barely knew her. The biggest L taken by the Butker injury is not being able to say Butker barely knew her all season long. But
let's just say he won't be on the waiver wire very, very long.
Yeah. Do you see that Andy Reid is blaming loose turf for all their injuries? Apparently, they had a bunch. But like that's
were they
why
away or
Bucker
home?
got hurt. They were away.
Okay, because that would be quite the thing to blame your your home stadium
Yeah.
on it.
They were in Arizona.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, you already did
Oh,
it, bastard.
I did it.
Shout out Radio Keys.
Yeah. Shout out Radio Keys. We love them here. Friends of the pod, Radio Keys.
Yeah.
Year
My
before
God.
liquor, never been sicker.
That's all fake news. It's just if you can power through it. That is pretty funny though.
You know what you should do now? Chug a bunch of water.
Yeah, I have an
See how you
estimate
feel.
what's happening. Oh, right now, right now.
Yeah.
I'm so full. Okay, next injury, the lizard on Stu's
Lizard
team.
King.
I know he was injured already in week 1, but I think there was a ripple effect of that injury. And he is projected to maybe potentially play in week 2. So obviously that ripple is that Rodgers was dog shit. Who has Rodgers?
I think Sones. Does he not?
It sounds familiar. Well, before we go away, oh man, my stomach does not feel good after that.
Yeah. Sones. That's why I didn't notice the stack, because Sones was starting Aaron Rodgers. Oh, I didn't need to take this shot. Mother of God.
Well, the stack is now there for week 2, and they are in second place. And you already took it. So what are you going to do? Not take it? What am I going to do? Not take it?
Yeah. If only Brad had started Derek Carr, he still would have lost, actually. So it's no big deal.
If you're Stu and the lizard is back, are you playing him over your other 4 receivers, which are the Sun God, AJ Brown, Rashad Bateman, and or Julio Jones, who himself has a Q in the same offense where Godwin is not going to play and Mike Evans is currently questionable?
All of the Bucks receivers are questionable. And Stu's starting Tom Brady. Oh no, he benched Tom Brady.
Julio had his best week in like a year. Last week, by the way, with 3 catches.
I think I play him, though. Just like all, just like New Orleans is a tough defense. Alan Lazard at home versus Chicago. I guess I'd probably start Alan Lazard. Oh, I hate it.
It's not something you feel good
I don't
about,
like this.
but knowing Aaron Rodgers and his pickiness, proclivity to favor some over others, and how all of his receiving core basically failed him in week 1. I mean, he was a dropped 75-yard touchdown away from having a much different week, of course, but still, he seems like a guy that keeps a grudge. And if the lizard is able to play, you got to feel like he's gonna be fed.
Yeah, I agree. I would probably go for it, but yeah, Julio is a monster, and he's back. No, I'd go Alan Lazard. Seems like he has a higher floor at least. Julio feels like a touchdown dependent receiver. Yeah.
Last person with some injured players, Javante's Inferno, which, side note, now that I've had a week to marinate on these names, this one actually has grown a lot on me. So I know I said that Brad and my names were pretty good and everyone else was meh. I want to raise this from meh to okay. Yeah, I can fuck with this name level.
What's the reference? Because I don't get it.
Dante's Inferno. Dante had guided by the poet Virgil, had to go through the, I want to say 7 levels of hell hence the Inferno. It's a literary term, which, side note, is kind of interesting that Pebbles would be the one to make the literary reference. But in any case,
Are you calling Pebbles a meathead?
I'm calling him a computer nerd and not a book nerd.
Oh, okay.
And a meathead.
Yeah.
But in any case, this is the guy who posed this question and has 2 injuries of his own. Kittle, who actually you can speak on both of these guys, but Kittle didn't play last week and is currently still in Pebbles IR slot. And then Higgins, who
Higgins got concussed,
but is currently in Pebbles starting roster. So there must be some optimism surrounding him.
Yeah, let's see. Ooh, he probably wouldn't have won unless like Higgins went nuclear. He probably wouldn't have won last week. So that concussion minimally affects him, right? More significant is the Kittle injury, both in fantasy and in reality. I mean, he committed significant draft capital to Kittle. It sucks to lose somebody in your top 5 rounds, at least, like top 6 probably. But where did he draft Kittle? In the 4th round. So if he had drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's a big swing in points, 20 points. Who else blew up? AJ Dillon. Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, should go down the list.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Yeah. So I don't know. The Kittle thing is a brutal injury to take, and now he's rostering 3 tight ends. He's got Likely, Goddard, and Kittle. That's never a position that I ever want to hedge personally.
Dude, Likely putting up 0 points after all the hype.
Yeah, he was a hype machine, but not as hyped as Cole Kmet, who also floundered.
So what's the domino effect on Pebbles' team here? So it looks like Higgins is trending in the correct direction, but concussions can be a little iffy. So if Higgins doesn't play, who does Pebbles play? And then what players benefit the most? Does Jamar Chase benefit the most? Does Tyler Boyd on my bench benefit the most? Does Hayden Hurst, who is currently a free agent, benefit the most?
No,
does Joe Mixon benefit the most?
I think it goes Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon in terms of benefits. Yeah. Actually, it might be Tyler Boyd first, actually, because he goes from the slant guy to now all of a sudden, being somewhat relevant. Yeah, getting more touches. So I think it goes Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, then Mixon in terms of fantasy improvement if T. Higgins is out. But I don't think he's going to be out.
Yeah, Yahoo currently is pretty positive on him.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm really sad that Dak is hurt for this game because I really would have loved a shootout between these two teams. I think it would have been.
Yeah,
I think it would have been such a fun game to watch.
Although Burrow 4 interceptions, the Dallas defense is no joke. So this could still be a game. I mean, depending on how well Cowboys can game plan with Rush as that QB.
Yeah, your boy dropped Dallas like a penny after getting change from Taco Bell. No, thank you. I don't want that after Dak got hurt. Bummer, dude.
Okay, so we are at a little above an hour now. That posed to you, should we continue with the rest of the questions from Pebbles, or should we skip to our next listener proposed questions, knowing that we still have our matchups to go over for this week?
Yeah, so I propose this. I propose we go heavy on, we skip to the next questions and we just announce our picks with no logic as to why. And we let the listeners
Deal.
Just
Okay, deal.
seethe in it. Cool.
All right. Well, then if we're saving all that time, I do want to bring up a question that Evan posed to us last week that we weren't able to get to, but in and of itself is fun. I'm just going to throw it out there. And that question is, you got to kind of reminisce back to the draft weekend for this. What had a higher count? League members calling each other dad or daddy, or league members asking to see each other's dicks?
Oh, woof. I think daddy, because I was pretty egregious during calling Stu daddy and dad during spike ball. Like literally every hit, I'd be like, here you go, daddy. So that, if you had to like try to count it, we played 2 games that went like 12, 15. Yeah, 12, 15. So that's 27 times 2, 52 times at minimum. And that doesn't count any of the like random
Outside
pockets
of spike
or,
ball.
like, yeah. And then there was the whole like conversation about daddy. Yeah, I think daddy 100% wins. I had so much fun.
What
with
if this
that,
question was people calling each other daddy, or Stu lifetime asking to see other league members' dicks?
I think I still go daddy.
No, same, but that was a fun
Yeah,
comparison.
that is a fun. I only think Stu like asks to see people's dicks as a meme, or like he like refers to it happening. I don't think he's never propositioned me unless we've been very drunk and I've forgotten. So
I'll pose this to Stu if he's listening. I imagine he could tell us the time and place where he has seen, like, I bet you could list them off like boom, 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 boom.
Significant life events for Stu.
Yeah, exactly.
Being born.
That's
his
all right.
first
So
time.
Colin was hanging from a tree in the Tide house after losing the bet when I was on his team. That's when I saw it the first time. O'Malley was using my shower after he stayed in my room, and I just poked open the door to see what he was working with.
Didn't ask, by the way. He just was curious.
He's like, my bathroom.
The time Amber, yeah, the time Amber slid into his DMs, and then Brad showering at the same Santa Monica house at Layout.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. The association. Anyway, fun.
Is Stewart a predator?
Thought experiment. Moving on without answering that. Which is better, to win a game when your team underperforms, or to blow your load and win by a bunch? Considering we didn't have a high score award, what do you prefer?
Blow your load.
Blowing your load and win by a bunch.
I 100% want my team to just ball out. 100%. I don't want to win like a 98 to 96 matchup. Like, yes, we take those, but I want to put up like 175. I want to feel good about fantasy, I want like all of my players to be scoring touchdowns. I want to be texting feverishly like, oh, got another one. I don't want like eking out, another fucking reception and like, oh, that's a point. 5-yard reception. That's a point. Am I in the lead? Nah, I want to blow people up.
I would agree with that. Obviously, the win's a win and we'll take it, but there's still some stress if you have a low scoring W. Whereas using my previous week, I couldn't even watch any football, and the only like updates I got were between games. It was always in hand, so it was just like, this is pretty nice, right? Like I don't even have to like think about it. Sorry, Adam.
Truly.
But it was just like, this is a W. I also found it fun that Adam and I played the last game against each other last season for the Sacco, and then we repeat matchup with the
The
similar result.
Sacco rematch. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
How did we not acknowledge that last week?
There's a lot going on, and we talked for like an hour and a half, so it's perfectly fine. Last question: if you two, swapped hairdos and nothing else, who benefits? Both, neither? Question mark. I think you
I
would
think
benefit.
you benefit.
What? Wow, that's so funny. So I live with
Tell me why.
I live with a lovely lady. Her hair is everywhere. Not that I don't have my own shedding that happens, although not at the same amount, right? So I would prefer not to double the amount of hair that is just everywhere in my life. So I think if you had my hairdo, you would benefit in subtracting that amount of hair that's around everywhere, you all day, every day.
Truly.
Also,
Yeah.
athletics, I'm never like putting my shit in a bun. I wear a hat for sure for some protection, but I don't have to worry about that. I can just go and run, leave my house for a run. I don't have to worry about my hair.
Yeah. It's definitely a disadvantage when it comes to sports or activities or chores. You always have to put your hair up to do anything. Super annoying. Like, just think about your experience with a water fountain, right? You don't have to worry about anything. If my hair is down, I gotta like do some shit and like grab it so then I can drink,
I did never even consider that until you just mentioned it right now.
Yeah. Like, do you condition your hair? Probably not.
Well, I have a 2-in-1, so it's
Dude, 2-in-1, as a person with long hair, 2-in-1 is hot garbage. You need to
another
get,
thing that I haven't learned in life.
it's like the natural ice of beers. You got to get rid of that 2-in-1 stuff. But the reason I think that you would benefit the most is just purely aesthetics. I think that you would look like a Jedi. I think that you would just get a lot of looks. People would look, oh, man bun, and then they'd see your actual buns and they're like, oh,
Or would they be
triple
like,
bun.
is that a chick?
That also may happen.
Would not
But
benefit
if you
me.
were ever to go back to your singing ways and like with your karaoke prowess, you can then swing around your hair. Can't do that now. So I think you stand to benefit the most. Plus, you already are dealing with a lot of hair. You might as well
Just
get
like
to contribute your fair share.
although that would just end up in me cleaning double the amount of hair. I don't think I'd be contributing to my own upkeep.
Yeah, that's kind of tough.
Fun question. Those are also admissible here. It doesn't have to be fantasy football related. But in any case, as we are, what do you got? What do you got? Yes, do.
Yeah, I want to do one more fan question just
All
because.
right. Yeah.
We'll go quick. The best. This is back from Peebly. Best group me posts. This is super fun to me because I personally, it's close to my heart because part of the reason that I love Football Sunday is just like being able to just like feverishly chat with my homies. And when I like have a bad Sunday, it's not necessarily because my team is doing poorly. It's because like the boys are all distracted or whatever. And
Sure.
so,
Yeah.
I get a lot of, it's near and dear to my heart, our group me interactions. And so I wanted to bring up like, what was your favorite group me post from this past week?
So again, I was distracted. I cannot single out one post because I literally took like 30 at one time, right? But I did appreciate, it literally was like, and the service in Norco is fucking terrible. Although it's really weird because the Yahoo Fantasy app works perfectly fine. GroupMe, dog shit. I don't know how that works, different apps, but
I think GroupMe and Apple are just dog shit.
The pair is not.
Collaborators.
Yeah. In any
Yeah.
case, I appreciated being able to witness in the span of like 15 seconds Adam's descent into madness. That's what I appreciated in my scrolling through all the messages all at once. What did you like as you were in it?
I had a serious love-hate with Stewart's unnecessary roasting of my barbecue pizza. It's so I really loved all the boys that were present, taking drink videos and sharing that with the group. It's kind of funny. I think this will eventually be an issue if we ever have an alcoholic in the group. Hopefully that never comes. Right. Hopefully we never have that issue, but there is a heavy drinking presence in our group. But I love that, starting the day off. And then, I organized this fun TikTok-esque video with me and Ashley, and that shit got less likes than Stu's roasting of my pizza. And that just goes to show what kind of league that we are in, you fucking assholes. I finally convinced Ashley to partake in this thing. And yeah. It's ridiculous.
Okay,
Noticeably absent is a like from you, motherfucker.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was fucking dying in Norco, California, playing 4 goddamn games of 15 on Sunday. Who does that shit?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that this was Frisbee touchdown.
Yeah, I'm holding it down. Bacon, congratulations for your Tower Ultimates 3rd place finish in your section. That's awesome.
Did you know that it came at a cost? Poor Bacon had his wallet stolen from Northwest Sectionals.
I did not know that. That's super fucked up. And oh god, it's so fucked up because it's supposed to be like a community of like-minded people. But that is a predator. Talking about predators, right? That's just, I bet you that person stole dozens of balls, or I bet you that they're just taking advantage of the people.
Just a stray found their way into the field. Look at all these bags that are not being paid attention to.
Exactly. I don't know, but yeah, that fucking sucks. That sucks. But still, very proud of Bacon and his team coming from a fledgling team to, and obviously Bacon is a phenomenal player, so he has a huge part in how they've done. But 4th or 3rd place in that section is huge.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, Bacon. Fuck yeah, Black.
Hell yeah, Black. I'm in trouble, Black. I'm not in trouble. I'm fucking high spotted the league. That's what I'm talking about, you motherfuckers. And now we're on to this week's matchup, starting with the Okefenokee Swamp versus what's the King do a Godwin. I do like the idea of us just throwing out our picks with minimal thought. So who are you picking?
I got the Okefenokee Swamp. Boom.
Me too. Next matchup. All right. We got Max and Pebs. Who you taking?
Max and Pebs. I got Juju.
Me too. Jewish star. Okay. Next, we got Stu and Bill. There we go. My commentary is Monday night finish. It's gonna be fun, right? You got some players in Monday Night Football. It's gonna be a close one, but I'm taking hold, please. Papa don't preach. I'm on trouble deep. Yeah, I'm unfortunately taking that team. Who you got?
That's so good. I've learned my lesson. I'll never bet against Blood Diamond Bill. So I'm going Blood Diamond Bill.
Okay, what about we're gay now versus Dak from Whence You Came, which, side note, when I was actually making my picks, Adam literally changed his team name at the same time. So it went from my Dak, which I thought was hilarious, to his current name, which is Dak from whence you came. So who you got?
Yeah.
We're Gay Now or Dak.
Both very clever names. And I think that Adam is leading this season in team name rankings.
Well, he's had like 3 of them already, so he's getting a little head
Yeah.
start here.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of ideas and a lot of material to work with. I have We're Gay Now.
As do I. All right. Next, we have our PEDs versus Taysom Bacon. Who you taking?
I'm taking Taysomanian Devil, baby.
Wow. Color me surprised. Okay, well, I have PEDs taking it, but question, over under 14 points for Taysom Hill. Actually, hold on. Taysom Hill scored 14.8 points last week. So over under 14.8 points for Taysom Hill this week.
Under.
14.8. Yes, I think assuredly it's going to be under. Okay. Last matchup, we got our Born Again Virgins versus Cuckfest 2022. Side note, if you go back to the league, I also find it amusing that we have a Kevin's 2023 and a Cuckfest 2022. So we have 2 different years in our naming conventions. As it stands today, the 14th of September, going into week 2. But who you got? You got yourself or Cuckfest?
I'm betting on myself, baby.
I'm taking Cuckfest. This one is pretty fun
Well, you
because
can
we
go cook
have.
yourself.
It remains to be seen. We have the Sutton versus Judy matchup, which is a fun one to see, as Judy won the first round, and now Brad is fully committing to the Las Vegas Raiders stack.
Not only is it's Sutton versus Judy and Melvin Gordon. And then, in addition to that, there's the Jamar Chase versus Mixon matchup, which for the fans, I was strongly wanting Mixon on my team this year. I really did not expect to see Jamar Chase. And
you wanted the Burrow Chase Mixon triple stack?
Well, once I got Chase, then I wanted the Burrow stack.
Yep.
Before that, I didn't want Burrow at all. But yeah, really fun. Just like, this is a fun matchup for me because there's so many like different themes to it, right?
We're keeping our commentary to a minimum.
Oh.
But go ahead. We're closing out. So closing thoughts. Put it your matchup. Fucking do it.
All right. Yeah, me and Brad. And this is fun because last week, Brad texted me. I was like, between Brad and Scott, it depends, if Kelsey scores over 20 points, I think, Scott's going to win. Kelsey scored over 20 points, Scott won. If Kelsey had scored 1 point, like Dawson Knox, Brad would have won. Just an aside. But a lot of themes to this matchup, right? Just like you pointed out, Sutton versus Judy and Melvin Gordon. Brad's double dipping with Dawson Knox and Gabe Davis. So he's hedging his bets just like he did with the blind taste. So that's
5.
He's consistent. Which is fun. Keenan Allen versus DJ Moore. That was a choice that I made. Elijah Mitchell versus Russell Wilson. That's a choice that he made for me. Jamar Chase versus Mixon. Choice I made. That's super fun. Gonna have to deal with that forever.
Forever.
So it's just fun. It's just fun. Kareem Hunt versus Melvin Gordon. That was another decision that I had made.
Actually, this is fun. You guys back-to-back drafting right next to each other. So yeah, that is.
We both picked new kickers for this week. So that's exciting. I have York.
I got Brad's kicker. I'm picking Brad's kicker. I feel like the Vikings are
Shut the fuck up.
Explosive offense. Great.
A lot of
That's actually not good for
Single
the
points.
kicker. If yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, we got Jacoby Brissett over here just teeing him up for K York.
He's
Let's
like,
go.
slant, 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 slant.
Yeah. Hey, that sounds like a bet that I would take. York versus Joseph. Yes. Unreasonable betting. Let
This
the
is good.
season begin.
This is good. All right, I'm gonna put it here. York
Put it in the
versus
ledger.
Joseph versus Joseph. What's the bet? Shotgun. All right, sounds good. Joseph. Shot for you, shotgun for me.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, that seems fair. In closing, oh my God, I have the ability to watch half of the games. So Streaking for this entire season had their practices on Sunday from 9 to noon. And we had a vote in this last, which actually has worked out like super perfectly because of like growlers and just like other shit like happens on Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is like never happening thing. Now football season started, obvious conflict. Week 1 was last week, tournament. Week 2 is this week. We had a team vote to change it to Saturday. It was a tied vote, and then the captains just kept it on Sunday. So I will not be able to watch till the afternoon's games. However, when I am able to watch, I'll be balls deep in that group me, and then we can run that question back from Pebbles in next week's podcast.
How fun. Yeah, I think that should be a recurring thing. Best content from GroupMe. It's just what the fans want and what the podcasters want.
True that.
At the end of the day, this podcast is really for us.
Good
right?
for
It's
the
not for them, it's for
podcasters
us.
and therefore the entire world. The world.
Good for me. Yeah. Any concluding statements, sir?
No, we've done good. I'm excited for the weekend to come.
Me too. I wish the entire league success, gold, money, just fame, fortune, except for Cuckfest. You can go get cucked. Peace.
Welcome to the People's Podcast. Frisbee touchdown. It's the time again. Couple of best friends hanging out in Malibu. Letting loose. It's week 0 with 18 more to go. Last year's champ, where are you at? Sean O'Malley got a target on his back. The stakes are high, for the record I will run a beer my own. If the Sacco goes to Scotty,